Hi, everybody. Okay. My name is Elsa Mengitsu. I'm an 18-year-old climate justice advocate. And that means, I care about the environment just as much as the people that live on this earth. I got involved with the youth climate movement in the summer of 2017, or a few months before that actually, after I had just got done working on gun violence prevention. And I was scrolling on Facebook one day and I came across a group of youth who were advocating for climate action. And it was the first time that I had ever seen a group working on climate change advocate on the humanity of an issue rather than the scientific aspects. And that was huge. It was the first time that I saw climate crisis as an interpersonal issue, one that would impact our day-to-day lives, one that changes lives and not in a good way, not one that I wanted to read about on data or on diagrams, but one that was personal. And so I begged them to join the team for a month and a half, and I ended up in Washington, D.C. the following summer, organizing the first ever Youth Global March in Washington, D.C. and 25 cities across the world. Since then, working with this group called 0 Hour, since then we have joined the Juliana v. United States court case, which was set to go to the Supreme Court. It didn't happen, but we signed on to that court case. We organized a 350-person education summit in Miami to turn everyday teenagers like me into local climate activists, organizers in their own communities. We even testified on Congress. And since then, I have been working on helping other youth set up structure and infrastructure within their own organizations and projects to do the work that I have been blessed to do the past 2.5 years. I'm also now working on organizing a 4,000-person conference to highlight the issues that I'm talking about today, but also to bring in youth into this movement. And 100 days into the next presidency, hopefully a non-Trump presidency, we will be electrifying and energizing 3,000 to 4,000 people to act on climate. I got involved with climate justice on accident. I never called myself an environmentalist. I just believed in the science. It was not negotiable. But for me, climate change is not just a singular issue. Climate change is the culmination of every injustice and social system that is set up. It is not just one issue that exists today. If I care about gun violence, if I care about women's rights, if I care about healthcare, if I care about education, if I care about immigration, if I care about anything, I care about the climate. I care about communities that look like me. I care about communities that are not listened to. I care about communities that don't have representation. And those are the same communities that are vulnerable to climate change, and those are the same communities that are vulnerable to healthcare, lack of access to healthcare. Healthcare and climate chaos are linked. They are the same fight. They are a fight of human rights, and they're a fight of human dignity. So they are the same fight. The same groups that are vulnerable to climate disaster are the same groups that are vulnerable to lack of access to healthcare. Black and brown communities, poor communities, immigrant communities, disabled communities, elderly communities. When weather patterns get worse, destruction is around us, disease is rampant, conflict is high, the same 45,000 people that do not have access to healthcare in the United States, their lives are not going to get easier. Trust me. That's why youth, when we strike, we're striking for a Green New Deal that works with everybody, a just transition that takes into account everybody, coal miners, coal workers, fossil fuel industry workers. Why? Because we're creating a movement that doesn't leave people behind. And that's recognizing that access to healthcare is a human right. Access to clean water, access to clean air is a human right. Both of these fights are one and the same. If we want to win these fights, it means we have to re-envision the world that we live in. We have to radically transform the systems that we see every day. And we have to transform the relationships not only that we have with ourselves, but the relationship that we have with Earth. If we want to get there, there are a list of things that we can do. One, 2020 is coming up. I mean, we're already here, but the elections are coming up. And if you've been in this country for the past 4 years, you kind of know how big of a deal that is. It's really big, really big. And we have the chance to elect someone who's not in the presidency right now. We have a chance to transform this country. And there are 24 million Gen Z youth eligible to vote this year. And what I want for all the adults in this room to do is talk to the youth that you know and make sure that they're registered to vote. There are 24 million of us. We can be one of the largest voting blocs today. We can transform where we are right now. One thing that you guys can do is strike. So youth, we can't vote. We don't have jobs. We don't contribute to the economy the same way you guys do. What we can do is skip school. That sounds crazy, yeah, but that's how we get our voice out. We strike from school and we make the world stop. And I want you guys to do the same. Me skipping from school does not have the same impact as someone skipping their job. You get to pause the economy for a day. I get to pause a lesson. It's powerful, but if we strike together, we stop the world, and it looks at us. So strike with us, please, and get us to register to vote, and please make sure that you are registered to vote, because some of you guys are not, but it's okay. But also one thing I wanted to talk about is the fact of being an ally. Are you an ally or an accomplice? As a youth working in adult spaces, up until I was 18, I couldn't put contracts into my name, but I still had to draft the contract. I need an adult in the room advocating on behalf of youth and the work that we're doing. I need you to use your reputation and use your validity to give us the validity that we need to do our work. Get us access into rooms like this where we wouldn't have access to. I'm 17, 18 years old. I don't have access to a room like this, but you do. And so by being an adult, by showing up, by helping us register to vote, by striking with us, by using the access and privilege that you have, you can transform the world that we live in. You can transform the healthcare access that people in this country have. You can transform if we have clean air, if we have stable weather patterns, if we have an earth that we can live on, if we have a thrivable future. So everybody in this room can act, and those are ways that you can act and help us. Thank you.